know that the United States Department of Defense spends $17 billion a year on fuel alone? That's enough to get us to Mars and back 265 times. That's insane. So naturally, one of the top DoD priorities is to decrease this fuel consumption, leading us to the age-old question of how? And I think the answer is all around us in nature. Think about it. Animals have been evolving for millions of years to be specifically adapted to the environments in which we find them. In fact, scientists have been looking to nature for hundreds of years for inspiration. For example, who here has used Velcro recently? Okay, so Velcro was designed by a Swiss engineer in the 1800s who noticed that plant seeds were sticking in his dog's fur really efficiently. So with my work, I look to sharks for nature. And as you can see in the slide behind me, sharks come in many different shapes and sizes and live in almost every ecosystem found within the ocean. So by understanding how these animals are interacting with their environments, we can better design vessels to invade these different oceanic habitats. You wouldn't, for example, drive a double-decker bus in a NASCAR race. And the same can be said of these vessels that are exploring the ocean. So a vehicle you find on a coral reef will look very different than a vehicle you find out in the open ocean. And in order to do this, I had to develop a technique to understand the 3D movements of sharks underwater. So I used a technique very similar to what you see in Hollywood. A guy puts on a funny latex suit with little ping pong balls glued all over them and moves around in front of this camera array. And then we're able to recreate this 3D animation, something that you probably saw in Lord of the Rings or Avatar. Now, ping pong balls would be a little bit big for the sharks that I work with. So I revolutionized this technique by using spray-painted googly eyes instead and underwater cameras. But it worked with less than 1 millimeter of error. That's smaller than the head of a pin. On top of that, all of the techniques that I have developed are free, open source, and used with low-cost cameras, making this technique accessible to researchers worldwide. On top of that, we can take this out into the field. And so we can see truly wild behavior as these animals are interacting in the environments in which we find them. So my study